Welcome to update 25 for the Robinhood stock portfolio. We're going to start the video just by looking at all the charts. So this is the 1 week chart, 1 day chart, still in after hours trading, 1 month chart, 3 month chart, 1 year chart, and of course the all-time chart. So going back to the 1 week here, we are up 0.58%. That's going to fluctuate. Like I said, we're still in after hours today on Friday, but anyways, so really not too much of a gain here, with it being 0.5%, obviously still $26 or so in gains, but really not too much going on here. Just kind of a steady week overall, which is totally fine. Now, let's say the whole entire market flatlined. That's the nice thing about dividend investing, is I'm still getting paid. And if those dividends are reinvesting, my assets will still grow over time. So at the end of the day, the portfolio is about dividends, and it always will be. It's just kind of exciting to see green here and there, like I say. Now, I do want to remind you guys that the actual value of this portfolio is $7,120. I have used quite a bit of margin here, but we are slowly paying it off week after week with my $125 investment. So basically $100 goes into new stocks, and then $25 will be pretty much saved and put aside to pay off part of this margin. And then all my dividends also go towards the margin. So slowly chipping away at that. Once we get it completely paid off, we are going to reassess the portfolio. We may move the portfolio to a new brokerage. We might use the margin again. I'm not really sure. We got quite a bit of a ways to go on that though. So as far as purchases for the week, if you follow me on Instagram, Chris Meyer Investing, you would not be surprised if I said I bought AT&T this week. That's exactly what I did. I put in $100 into AT&T. Basically, I just think they're undervalued, but we'll talk more about AT&T once we get to my dividend tracker. So as far as dividends, we didn't get any dividends since we last talked. Prospect Capital was the last one, being $6 in dividends. The next two will be LTC and SPHD. So looking at about $6 more of dividends for the month of August. We'll take a look at what everything looks like next week in the spreadsheet, but since we didn't get really paid anything this week, I don't really track it. So once it comes in, we'll log it and take a look at it, like I said. So moving over to Simply Safe Dividends, this was last week's numbers. $295 in annual income, negative 0.9% dividend growth, and a 4.28 dividend yield. The current numbers are $302 in annual income. Dividend growth has increased by 0.1%, and dividend yield is now 4.25%. So this week, like I said, we bought into AT&T. They have a really high dividend yield, 6.92%. That's kind of why you would buy into them right now. I don't see them growing their dividend anytime soon just because it is so high. So if you're thinking about buying into AT&T, you're kind of doing it for the yield, not as much for the growth. They are slowly growing, but 2% really isn't anything to be too excited about. So more of a current income play than a future income play, if that makes any sense. But as far as AT&T being undervalued, if you compare them to competitors like Verizon, I mean, they're almost half the stock price. I haven't looked too much at market cap and that kind of stuff, but AT&T has business in streaming services and other stuff like that. So as long as they can just make it better, I think their stock price will increase. But at the end of the day, this is kind of more of a dividend yield play anyways. So the reason why dividend growth increased is because we've been buying into Microsoft. I think the little bit that AT&T gave in addition to that was just enough to push it over to another 0.1%. So now in the coming weeks, I would like to get some more money in these holdings that are pretty much 1% or lower. I guess 2% maybe. So like Pfizer, for example, I have one share, 0.5% of the portfolio. It's a solid company, so I'm going to be really looking at them. I've been talking about them for a couple of weeks. Would like to get more money in them, especially because the growth is good. So depending on pricing, we'll be taking a really good look at them next week. Stag Industrial, another one that's pretty solid overall, has a pretty good yield. Dividend growth isn't as good, but again, it's only 0.9% of my portfolio, so just to get a little bit of diversification. I would like to get back into them. And apparently my gain loss has been really good on Stag too. So that's kind of the plan for next week, is to try to get in a little bit more percentage of the account into some of these companies that I don't have as much in, just to kind of balance it a little bit. But at the end of the day, still focusing on dividend growth. So, but yeah, that about wraps up the typical updates. Looking at the 1 year chart, this is kind of about when I started investing again. So the fact that we've made, or could make, about $810 plus all the dividends we got in such a short amount of time is kind of crazy. I mean, granted, we had the crash to kind of dollar cost average into, and probably wouldn't have got these kind of gains in a normal market if there is such a thing. But yeah, man, it's been really cool to be a part of this. So I'm going to keep sticking to my strategy and just long-term dividend invest, and we'll see where this portfolio goes. With that being said, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you're watching these updates, please make sure you're subbed to the channel, and leaving a like on the video also helps. I will see you guys tomorrow on the M1 Finance update.